One of my biggest problems is I'm scared of needles.
So I'm going to quiz you and put you in a tough spot. क्या आपको आपके और साक्षी के hemoglobin numbers पता है?
You have to say the truth or I have to give a good
Only
answer?
the truth. She's like the nucleus.
I feel most of the homes, the mothers, they are the ones who actually run the full family, because they are the ones who take care of everything that is happening inside, right from the ration to the money that is coming in, who needs what kind of money, for school, college, everything. They are the accountant, they are the chartered accountant in the house.
Hormonal hoga, uska monthly issue hoga. Do we dismiss some of these things because of which the women hesitate or feel that they shouldn't talk about what they're going through?
Before throwing a banter, I should be able to judge where he or she is. If you feel you have said something that has hurt someone, it's very important to immediately say sorry.
Dhoni, so lovely to meet you again. This is our second conversation that we are having. Last one was also brilliant. And I think last one we spoke a lot about leadership, setbacks, a lot of deep stuff. This time also the topic is pretty deep. Let me warn you, it's women's health. This is one area that we at MQ are extremely passionate about. We're a leading company in women's health. So it's also a little bit of our responsibility to create more awareness around it. And one of the things that always amazes me is, I say women को हर एक नंबर पता होता है. As a पड़ोसी अंकल का बर्थडे हो, बेटे का मैथ्स परसेंटेज हो, टमाटर के प्राइसेस हो, but खुद के नंबर्स कभी पता नहीं होता है. So I'm going to quiz you and put you in a tough spot. क्या आपको आपके और साक्षी के hemoglobin numbers पता है?
You have to say the truth or I have to give a good answer?
Only the truth.
Okay, so basically, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know one thing that she knows her numbers.
Okay, that's good.
She is quite regular with all the checkups and everything. She's much more periodic about it.
Yeah.
I should have been. Generally they say that once you cross 40, you should do regular checkups.
Yes.
But I have taken that liberty, or hiding behind the fact that, maybe I'm an athlete, I don't need to do all this, but I need to get into it. Okay. And one of my biggest problems is I'm scared of needles.
Oh, really?
Apart from other things, so unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem in the sense, even when I got my surgery done, the hospital knew that I'm scared of needles. So
yeah.
Before the surgery, the night the doctor came, he wanted some blood for the various tests. And I was looking, he's like, sir, you can look on the other side. I'm like, listen, I'm scared of needles, but I can cope with it. But I have to see you doing it.
Yeah, it makes it
but
easier.
It's just that for me, the problem is unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't do it. I try to talo it in better words. But my wife, she's brilliant with it. She knows her number.
So happy to hear that.
But I don't ask because I know if there's some problem,
she'll tell you.
No, everybody in the house will know. So I'll hear it, But that's the case. My father is very particular about it. My wife is maybe 6 months, after every 6 months. He is very particular. He knows if he does a test now, he knows after 3 months I have to do a test. 3 days before, he will start saying, somebody needs to come in the morning to take my blood. I have
very
to do
diligent.
This.
Oh, wow.
He is to the point. But I have to follow that lead,
You have to get better. So looks like your family members.
Not my mother though, sorry.
Not your mom? क्यों उनके बारे में बताइए?
I don't know exactly. Maybe she's so much used to taking care of everyone. She maybe doesn't come to the top of the list for herself.
Yeah.
So
very well said.
Yeah. See, we keep pushing, and also she's still very fit, and she doesn't have any problems as such. Every now and then she may complain that, okay, my knee is paining a bit. So stuff like that. The worst for her is every year at some point of time she will get a flu. Other than that, touch wood, she is very fit. So maybe she thinks that she doesn't need to do all of that.
Right.
But, at her age, I feel, it's needed, a periodic management as to where you was, 3 months or 6 months down the line, where you want to be. So it's very important because by the time, my personal feeling, by the time your body tells you, it's slightly late.
Correct.
You have to be slightly more advanced.
Proactive also.
Yes, and age is a big factor.
Yeah.
And if 40 was the age maybe 10 years back, I feel it has come down slightly, because of our eating habits, because of how active we are and the kind of job profile we have got, so that activity thing has come down in our life. So we are not physically very active. So everything that was okay till maybe 40, 10, 15, 20 years back, now we have to, start monitoring in once you cross 35 maybe.
I completely agree. And you made a lovely point that I'm very happy to hear that Sakshi is very proactive and your mom isn't as much. And you also said that you try to push her to do it. So when you push her, does she listen? I mean, I guess the question I'm trying to make is, what can the men do to support the women in their lives a bit more to know their numbers and get those annual checkups done?
I think you need to convince them. There's always a reason why someone is not doing it. So you need to go down to the root cause. So try to figure out what is the main reason. If the reason is something like that I'm scared of needles and all, which I feel is not the case with my mother, but try to figure out and convince them. Like in my case, I'm not there every 3 months. I may be there, I may not be there, but I want to convince her so that when the time comes, like my dad, she asks, saying, okay, 3 months are over, I need somebody to come or I need to go somewhere. Unless I do that convincing and unless it comes from inside,
like she has to be motivated to do it.
Yeah.
But this is a great point you've brought out, because I always wonder, is it that they're complacent or is it that they're not aware and educated enough? What is it that you can do to make your mom feel from within that she needs to do this?
I think one of the biggest misconception is, as men, we always think we are strong. We are strong, we can handle everything. Yes, maybe we can, but what a woman goes through, throughout, especially my mother at her age right now, she has seen life. She has seen all the ups and downs, there would have been parts where my dad wasn't too well. There have been parts where she wasn't too well. So they always take it as their responsibility to make sure that everyone is good. But what about them? They need to start feeling one thing, that they are like the main thing in the full family, because everything is connected with them. So if something happens to them, then what? So I still remember, when we were young, and for my mother, it was flu and it would really bring her down. So when she had flu for maybe 3 days, 4 days like that, the whole house used to change because the whole environment changes now. She is low instead of someone who's always there speaking about things, telling things, doing things. She's low. So everything changes. So I feel
you can feel that energy and that vibe in the house changing.
So I feel
she's like the nucleus.
I feel most of the homes, the mothers, they are the ones who actually run the full family, because they are the ones who take care of everything that is happening inside, right from the ration to the money that is coming in, who needs what kind of money, for school, college, everything. They are the accountant, they are the chartered accountant in the house. So I feel they need to give slightly more importance on their health, if not for themselves, but for the simple fact that it affects everyone who's part of the family in a big way.
Absolutely.
So if we are able to convince them, then they will do it, more happily maybe, or more proactively. And that's what the motive is.
No, and I think that's where the education part comes in. But one more tricky question here, and I know you're a very warm, humble and sensitive person, which is why you have a very responsible way of looking at women's health. But do you think at some point, whether it's in the workplace or even in their private lives, there's a little bit of unwanted humor, a little condescending attitude, कि अरे ये इतना बोल रही है तो must be going through a PMS, hormonal होगा, उसका monthly issue होगा. Do we dismiss some of these things because of which the women hesitate or feel that they shouldn't talk about what they're going through?
I think the society is opening up more about it. And one of my close friends, he has a saying, read the room. So banter is fine. We are much more open when it comes to friendship between a man and a woman. So in banter, you may sometimes slightly cross the boundary, but it's taken in a very friendly manner. But then reading the room is important. Reading the mood of the person is important. If you are not in a good mood, we don't know exactly what is happening in your family. So ups and downs keep on happening. So before throwing a banter, I should be able to judge where he or she is, and then accordingly. So that's why the point of reading the room.
Right.
And if you feel you have said something that has hurt someone, it's very important to immediately say sorry. Don't wait for it. Before it becomes something like you have to just, bring it down to normal. And what it does is, if you do it, there are people around. If you're talking about an office or between friends, there are people who are around and they also know this is the right thing to do. There's
So
nothing
you have to set the
against,
example.
yes, there's nothing against banter. But the problem with banter is we often cross the line and we don't even know it. But what is important is the moment you realize, you should say sorry, and in front of the people who you have said it. So everybody knows that, okay, this is not done. Banter is fine, but this is the line. We don't make fun of certain issues. We want to be supportive about it. And that's how life should be.
No, and I think it's a great point, because even if you come to simple economics of the country, the workforce participation of women is not where it needs to be. And a lot of time it's because of these health reasons, or because they take a break because of pregnancy and then they find it tough to come back. So I think what you're talking about is, if in general, men and women create a very supportive environment, we can get more women back in the workforce as well, because health will not become a barrier anymore.
I feel health is not a barrier.
Yeah.
For a man to be fit, a woman should be equally fit. We may have our limitations, but more often than not in work, nobody is lifting 150 kg. And it's not like a man is lifting 150 kg of something and the woman is lifting 50 kg. Generally what we are talking about work is, if you maintain yourself, if you are fit, if there's no serious issue when it comes to your body, health, to be fit is the most important thing. And if you have that kind of a fitness, it doesn't impact the workforce.
Absolutely.
So whether you are a man or a woman, it hardly matters. And also workforce and health, health, you do it for yourself first. Then the workforce comes in, you do it for the company. Yes, if I'm a fit person, I will be available to the company for, more often than not throughout the year.
Absolutely.
So what is important is to have that fitness for yourself, for your family. And then of course the workforce, it helps if both husband and wife, they are making money. It's good for the family, it's good for the parents, people who are around.
Absolutely.
So
I
think
it's just good for the whole ecosystem. No, very well said. And since we're talking about family, so I've met your lovely daughter Ziva. 2-3 occasions I've met her, and you were just telling me right now about how she's so mature. When you tell her कि school 2-3 दिन miss कर सकते हो, she's like, no, I want to go to school, So she's a very sorted, mature, lovely girl. I wanted to ask you that in case of girls, do you think, even boys for that matter, everybody, do you think that health education should become a part of school curriculum and, sort of ingrain in them early on, so that those reminders of go for your annual checkup, be aware of the symptoms, is not something that will later on go and make an extra effort for? What are your thoughts?
I think why not? When I think some of the schools have already started it. So in Ziva's school, it is already part of.
Oh, lovely.
It's not like a curriculum where you have to sit in an exam and all, but it's more like a piece of education where you should be knowing this is what happens in life. At a certain age, it starts and it keeps going on. So I feel it needs to be part of the system. Maybe not in a subject form where there's an examination. When we were growing up, when I was in class 6th or 7th, physical education started in our school also. The concept was slightly different as to, the well-being of a person, giving first aid, and all those things were part of it. But it was not a subject. Examinations were still held, but it was not part of the co-curriculum as to it starts affecting your grades. But the important thing was, you learn about first aid, so you're moving around, something happens to someone, what are you supposed to do? Stuff like that. Stuff like, let's say if something is happening and you may get hit by person, ball or something, at least you are quick to know, okay, what has happened,
even
where it
concussions.
Anything, stuff like that.
So
I feel it is important to educate and, that awareness is needed so that, we are able to help people, who have some kind of an accident, something very simple, something very complex, at least, because the first aid is the most important thing. That's what we were talking. It's the most important thing. And from there on, it can be taken forward, whether you take it to a hospital or a emergency room. So I feel it should be part of the curriculum, and it just helps people understand at different ages in life, in a man's life, in a woman's life, there are certain changes that happen, and they shouldn't be startled as to what
they
is
should be
this,
ready for it.
Yes.
You know, and I'll tell you, just to close this, couple of simple things like PCOS affects 20% women in India. But those who are affected, 70% of them, it remains undiagnosed because they don't even know the basic symptoms. Endometriosis, I mean, it's quite a tongue twister, but it is one of the most painful conditions a woman can go through. But even in the US, it takes 7 years to diagnose it. So India mein to matlab bhul hi jaiye. Imagine how many undiagnosed cases, and then the women are just suffering in silence. The point I'm trying to make is that if people are educated about this early on, know some of these issues that are very prevalent, they can diagnose them sooner. They can probably change their doctor sooner. The doctors can probably catch it sooner. So there's just so much of pain, physical and mental, that can be avoided through education.
I think also, to be more vocal about it.
Oh, that's a lovely point.
And if I understand something about the subject, I know, is it something that is more on a serious side, or is it something that it may happen to me once in 2 months or 3 months, whether it's a regular pain or it is something more serious. So unless I am doubtful about it, if I think, no, maybe it's slightly serious, I'll be vocal about it. So the next step comes saying, okay, I need to be slightly more vocal about it. And then the husband or the parents, father, mother, they come into picture as, okay, these needs to be addressed. Let's go to a hospital, address it. And I feel that's the way forward. So rightly, the education is important. That differentiation between, arey, ye to normal hai, to,
this is not normal, go get checked up.
Yes.
And you should know that difference through education. Yeah. So well said. Dhoni, one of the points that fascinated me when I was doing my research on you, and we even spoke about it when we met earlier, is you don't really look at your phone much. I even remember you telling me, मैं तो सिर्फ अपना phone है ना alarm clock के लिए use करता हूँ. Remember that conversation we had? And I think this is something that, is causing a lot of issues. So, for example, again, we interviewed Lisa Ray, and even though she was a supermodel and, dunya unke kadmon mein thi, but it's affecting your mental health as well. There's been clearly linked to stress, to ADHD, to a lot of issues. How do we really get people a bit more responsible about this? Coming from somebody who doesn't look at his phone, which is so rare.
No, I do look at my phone, but I'm not obsessive about it.
That's the key.
And I feel controlling the controllables is very important. Through my career, there were managers who came and said, you need to be more active on Facebook, you need to be more active on Instagram. I said, why? No, you'll have more followers. I'm like, okay, then. No, you'll get more endorsements. I'm like, okay, then. So all the managers, when it comes to celebrities, they start promoting the fact you need to have more followers, this, that, everything. But I just told them one thing, I need to take care of cricket. For me, the core is cricket. If I do stuff well on the field, everything that is around will take care of itself. So those are the controllables. I want to speak my mind. Some will like it, some may not like it. So stuff that is not in my control, I don't want to be too much worried about it, because it just becomes like a parachute that is dragging me. I'm running forward and there's a parachute behind me. Whether it's social media followers, to be worried about, oh, what will people think about me? You cannot control that. You can control your action. Once you do something, people will have view about it. But if you are sure about what you are doing, then whatever they think, it may be right, it may be wrong, but whatever you did, you are honest about it.
Correct.
And if you did something wrong, you'll rectify it and try not to repeat it. But if you're too much worried about everything that goes around and, you forget about the core, then it hurts you.
Absolutely.
And it has hurt a lot of celebrities, maybe especially talking about sports person, how many followers you have hardly matters. So
focus on the work.
Yes. If I keep doing well for my country, and that's what I wanted to do. And I never thought I'll play for my country. So when given a chance, what do you want to do? You want to win games for your country. Whatever sport you are playing, you want to perform for your country. Because again, we'll do it for 5 years to 15 years to 20 years, which is part of life.
Absolutely.
You know, but that's what I want to be remembered for.
Yeah.
Not for, you know, I have so many followers. How does it matter? I may be one of the worst person to have so many followers.
Yeah.
But you want to be remembered for being a good person.
Yeah.
So control the controllables. Don't think too much about the result and take care of the core. So whatever is the core for you, you know, you make sure that you're doing everything right and you're doing justice when it comes to that. So tomorrow, even if I'm not successful, I cannot point a finger at myself saying, I should have done this.
Absolutely.
You know, I did something completely different.
Yeah.
It may be a case where you followed a path, we didn't pay off. But that is maybe wrong planning or circumstances change. But I can't completely be doing something that is not related to my work, is not helping my work. And at the end of it, I'm like, you know, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
It's too late.
So stay true to your goal. Now, my last question, Dhoni, is, you know, I run this podcast called Uncondition Yourself with Namita, where top doctors talk about health issues. So more and more women get educated. A lot more like this needs to be done. So I guess it's a two-part question. First part is, what more can we do in our country to build awareness on women's health? And two, this is a great opportunity for you to reach women in smaller cities all over India with just a general message around health. So any last words on this very important topic of women's health?
I'll keep it very simple. You know, all of us, if we are in a position to do something, you know, we should, whatever we feel right, we should go ahead with it. We should do it and forget about the result. You know, let's not think about how many people it will actually reach. You know, now in a world where everything is digitized, you know, whatever we say, it's there somewhere. So let's say if I'm inquiring about something that I don't know, what do? You go to a YouTube, you search. You know, you go on a Google, you search. So if it's there, people can read about it. You know, whatever language it may be, it can be translated. So I feel it's important for the content to be out there. And if we feel this is the best way we can contribute, we should contribute.
Absolutely.
And of course, the education about the various stuff, you know, the various subjects that we feel is very important. Health, I feel, you know, पुराने ज़माने से बोला गया है, health is wealth. And I think COVID really taught us, you know, what we thought was, it's okay. But, you know, once we went through it, we realized health is one of the most important things. And I feel we need to go back to that. You know, a lot of the newer generation, you know, they want that cash in the bank, you know, to have a good life later on. Okay, I want to sacrifice my youth to make the most of it so that later on I can enjoy life. But one of the fact is, if you're not healthy, and once we talk about later in life, let's say 45 plus or 50 plus, if you don't have health on your side, you know, what will you enjoy?
Absolutely.
If I can't enjoy an ice cream, you know, something as simple as that, an ice cream.
The little joys.
The little joys
The
in
little
life.
joys.
So it's very important to, like how you're willing to sacrifice the youth to be very comfortable later on. Sacrifice a bit of comfort, give that time to yourself. You know, you don't have to run 5 kilometers every day, but make sure you are active. You know, it could be maybe 2-3 kilometers of walk. You know, if you're sitting in an office, make sure that every hour you just get up from your seat and say, okay, however big your office is, if it's a very small office, you're like, okay, I'll make like 10 rounds and then go back, sit on the chair. So stuff.
The small things.
Yes. So stuff.
And sleep. Most youngsters don't sleep.
Sleep, yes. And sleep doesn't mean time on the bed. You know, sleep means how good your sleep was. And a lot of athletes nowadays, they are keeping a track of their sleep as to how good the sleep was. And I always felt that sleep was the best form of recovery. You know, apart from eating good, hydration, you know, everything. But sleep was one of the main essence, you know, that really helps you be at your peak when it comes to decision making, when it comes to pushing yourself. So I feel health is wealth. Start sacrificing or taking some time out if you feel there's not enough time. Take some time out. Give it to yourself. It will pay you good dividends.
Fabulous. As always, a lovely, candid, straight from the heart talk from you, Dhoni. Thank you so much for educating women, men across the globe with your personal stories and your very authentic conversations.
Doing our best.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure.